Hi, thank you so much for joining me for day 30 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life. Today's sketch is by Julie Moreau, and you can see that in the top right hand corner there. So as you can see, I grabbed my pair of compasses and drew a pencil circle around this paper from 49er Market, and then I took my sewing machine and just stitched lots and lots of circles around that same circle, just messy circles so that they weren't perfectly aligned, to create that circle border that Julie's got on her sketch. So this is the 49er Market Serenity collection, and I'm scrapping a photo of my daughter and her cousin George at George's mum's wedding back in 2009. George had been told to look after Amelia. If you've watched my videos before, you will have seen me scrapping this day previously, and it was a job that he took very, very seriously. And this was him in the chapel, looking after Amelia and telling her what was going to happen. It was just so cute. So I really wanted to scrap this photo, and I thought that these papers went perfectly because they just they don't take away from the photo. They're very subtle, all different tones of blues. Even though there aren't any blues in the photo, I just thought it went really nicely. So here I am just cutting off some offcuts that I've got left over from 6x8 paper pad from previous layouts that I've created using this collection, and I'm creating those strips that Julie has behind her photo. So just trimming these down to size. As I mentioned, this collection, all the papers are very, very similar tones, so it just all blends in really, but it does look beautiful when it's done. So I'm using my Tim Holtz edge distresser to distress all the edges, just to try and get that little bit of definition between the papers. So this is a strip that goes horizontally behind the photo, and then these strips go vertically. And in the sketch you can see Julie's got the photo at an angle. I tried that, I wasn't really happy with it, so mine is more or less straight. It's at a slight angle, but not nearly as much as the sketch indicates. But I think that's fine. I think sometimes you have to go with your gut and what looks better for you in your album. But I think because George and Amelia are so straight on, it just looked a little bit odd to me having it at an angle, so that's why I didn't. So just now working out how to position these strips behind the photo and distressing each edge as I go. And that's, if I didn't mention it before, I can't remember now what I said, that's the Tim Holtz edge distresser, and it's brilliant. It works really nicely and doesn't tear up your paper like you can do very easily with scissors if you're not too careful. So just each piece. And these are a little bit shorter than the sketch, but I was just working with what I had. Again, being a little bit lazy and just using the offcuts rather than cutting into new papers. So you can see they just peep behind that photo a tiny bit, but it's fine. I like it that way. So just getting all of these into place. And once it's done, I just feel that the photo doesn't have quite enough impact really on the layout. So I do end up pulling that up and adding a white cardstock border around the edge. So just adding a white mat behind that photo, and it just gives it a lot more definition there on that mat of papers. So here I am just trying it, and that's where I see I'm not entirely happy. So the mat is all glued into place, so it's just a case of peeling back the photo, sticking it onto the white card to create a very thin border, and then I can pop it back on again. So just using my scissors to get that border, and then I shall glue it down. And then once that's glued down, you can see I've pulled out some of the ephemera pieces, a lot from the laser cut elements from the Serenity collection, and a few other bits and pieces just to scatter around the layout. And this will come together very, very quickly. It's a gorgeous sketch, and I think it's one that I will come back to again. And these papers lend themselves really nicely to this sort of a sketch. So here I am trying to create a wonk, but it's not going to happen. So first of all, this beautiful piece from the laser cut collection, and it's roses, and that emulates the vine that we have in the sketch and Julie's sketch going up the left hand side. And also this little round piece I really liked, and that just says "You're the best." Then just scattering some of the butterflies around the page and then moving on to the right hand side. And again, another vine, and this is in dark brown, and I thought that worked really nicely with George's black suit. And then one of the roses. I've almost used all the bits in this collection now, so just working again with what I have, but it all worked out really nicely. Sometimes it's nice when you don't have too much choice because you just have to go with what you've got, and it worked out beautifully on this page. So I decided just to get this photo stuck down before carrying on with the embellishing. So moving those bits out of the way, and it's at this point that I decide that I want to stick it more or less straight. So now I'm going to add that rose. Just checking that it's all sticking. A little navy blue butterfly at the top there, just perching on the edge of the photo. And then I found these two keys in the laser cut elements, and I thought they worked nicely. Just angling down. Not really doing much, but I liked how they looked. Just checking that there's enough glue behind those vines. I didn't want to stick it all down flat, but I needed to make sure that it is going to stay in place. And there's another butterfly that I had, so moth, so I thought I'd just stick that to the bottom. And one at the top here. Trying to work out which direction to get him to fly. And now that's all done, I turn my attention to the title. These rub-ons are absolutely gorgeous, and I saw the rub-on that said "Life is Magic," and I thought that would work really nicely for this photo. So I'm just going to position that underneath the right-hand corner of the photo, and then I shall use a few more rub-ons just to bring that across the page a little bit to the left, so it all blends seamlessly. And these rub-ons are absolutely amazing. I'm rubbing this over the stitching, and there's no problem at all. It doesn't crack or break or anything, and it comes up with ease. Just giving it a really good rub to make sure that it's securely on. I was worried about the "is magical" words because it's very thin typeset, so just wanted to make sure that all stuck down. And then, like I say, coming with some other bits and pieces now. So first of all, a little vine, and I'm just focusing in on the blue pieces for this. So that little vine goes there, and it just sort of draws the eye across the page to the left. So again, rubbing that down over the stitching, and once again it goes on with ease. Just making sure it's all really well rubbed. And then once that piece is down, I find a little blue butterfly, and it just fills in that little gap to the left-hand side underneath Amelia, and just brings more detail in. So while I'm doing this, please don't forget to check out the description box down below to see everybody else joining in on this hop. There's a playlist, so you can just watch it to your heart's content. I've also got links to my shop if there's anything that I sell that you might be interested in. And other than that, I'll leave you to watch me finishing this off. I'm just adding the date there, just hand wrote it on a scrap of paper and then gluing it into place. And I shall see you again for the very last day of 30 Days of Sketches on the 31st of March for the very last sketch. Thanks again for joining me. Bye.